Alright, today I'm going to post a couple of videos, or at least one video on installation of my AOD so far into my FE. I purchased the AOD from Lentech. What they do is they sell a kit with QuickTime bell housing on it, and a few challenges I had. I'll go over a little bit over the instructions here, and you'll see where I was struggling a little bit. Second, alright, so I've got to so when I got to installing it on here, there's not a lot of instructions here. It says here, it's recommended that a minimum of 62 thou, so an 1/8 inch or 1/16 to an 1/8 inch clearance between converter mounting pads and flywheel converter mating surface. Which really it wasn't really clear to me. I thought I understood it, so I actually ended up emailing to confirm this. They didn't really explain this very well in here, and I'll show you what I did and how I figured this out, and hopefully I can get that done by today. Alright, so the first thing I want to show you here is you can see that I had to do a cut here. I had to do a saw cut here using a die grinder. I wasn't all that pleased. I think I did okay. What I did was I did a little bit at a time, so I wasn't putting too much debris into the back. So I did a little bit and a little bit there. Now you're wondering why I did that. Well, the instructions didn't tell me anything. And at first I wondered, well, how am I going to get the flex plate to torque converter bolts in? And I thought that this opening here was for it, right? I had gone to QuickTime, didn't say anything. I'd gone to my Lentech instructions, it didn't really tell me anything, so I thought, well, that must be what we do. Well, it turns out, no. So before you assemble everything, cut this well before. So anyways, I did cut it so I can have access to the bolts here, because the bolts actually go this way. They don't go the back way, which I actually originally thought it might. So that's the first thing you need to be aware of. Do this beforehand. Ideally, I would have actually just drilled a hole and put a plug in, but as you can see, my steering wheel, I've got, maybe 3 inches here, so there's really no way I could do a hole there, even with right-handed drill. So that's the first step you need to consider. Alright, so this is what it looks like with that piece cut out that I had. You can see where the bolts are. And what the instructions actually ask you to do, I'm sorry, this is a terrible video, but it's the best I can do, is to shim the flex plate to the bell housing, or the flex plate to the torque converter. I bought 1/4 inch shims, and I can't really measure in there, but it's supposed to be between an 1/8 and a 1/16. So what I did was got my 1/8 inch drill, and I'm trying to get it in there, and I can get basically it to go in a little bit, but not all the way. So that is my go, no go to make sure it fits. It's taken me a while to get there. One of the things I had to be careful was that when I pull the bell housing back, the torque converter back that far, is that it sort of drops a bit. So I have to make sure it's sort of centered. So I'm going 1/8 inch. It's an 1/8 inch minus a little bit, but because I have an 1/8 inch to a 1/16, I'm going to say that's good. I'll let them know what I did, but that's kind of what they told me to do with the drill bit, so I think we're good. Alright, the other thing you'll notice is I use the original crossmember and put new brackets in. So what I did was I left one of the original brackets in on the passenger side, because the crossmember would actually sit on it. It just only had maybe 2 inches of, contact. My original plan was to use the original bracket and basically put a plate on it to make it work. Having said that, the original bracket I didn't think was all that strong to extend. So what it is, I took the old bracket off. The first, on the driver's side, I tried to use cutting wheels, and that didn't work as well as actually using an air impact hammer and basically taking it off the, here, I'll show you a picture, a video of what the original bracket looks like. Not much to it. So anyways, I ended up using the air chisel, and it came off actually not too bad. The welding's pretty ugly. Not that my welding's beautiful, but I managed to take it off. The other thing I noticed, you will notice it's actually at an angle. So what I did was I bolted the transmission to the bracket here, and then left it on one side. I used a level here just to make sure it was level, and then I marked up the bracket on this side, tack welded it in, drilled the holes, or finished drilling the holes, and then once I got that side in, I did the reverse process. So then I bolted it on that side just loosely, and I used a level, set this in place, and then welded it in at the end. So it took a bit of time. It's a 6-inch channel, and it actually worked out pretty good. You can see how the bolts are in here. I think they're about 4 or 5 inches long. So it came out, like I said, it came out not too bad, and pretty happy with the way it came out. And here you can see how much it's at an angle. But it worked out okay. So that's how I did it. I'm not sure that there's probably a few other ways. I wish I'd have had the body off the frame, because that would have really made it easy for me to weld it, especially on top. But that came out okay. Like I said, the welder's a little ugly, but as long as it's got enough strength, that should work. Yes, I did try to keep the angle on the yoke here as close as I could equal to the angle on the differential. I think I'm pretty close, but time will tell when I get the drive shaft built for it.